and we've had this conversation here on the show. I had a similar scenario, let's say last year. It doesn't really matter. I guess last year would be the right thing.
Okay.
We were looking at selling one of the other companies, not me and Shannon, different group partners, selling one of the companies we had. And the buyer was, we started putting things together, and the buyer wanted a period of time to really evaluate things. And they offered the deal that I'm going to always look for in the future. It was their idea because they wanted to do right by us. They said, look, we're here, but our company's kind of in a weird spot. So we want to learn more. Really, I think maybe the way to summarize it, I don't know if this is entirely accurate, but it doesn't matter. For the sake of this story, it might as well be.
Okay.
The CEO was not the only partner in the business. He was very aware of how we worked together because we were partners on like they were a vendor of ours, and which is a great type of business to find to sell to because they know your business. His partners did not know us, and I think they wanted some more time to learn and be like, is this really the right thing for us? Whereas he was like, dude, let's buy now, and so they offered, they said, look, what we're going to do is during that 3 months, we're going to pay for a part of the growth of the business that they were going to kind of, that they could have brought to the table anyway, like as part of the new, like the new ownership structure, right? Like once they acquired it, everybody finds a synergy. Like they had a thing that if they applied it to our business, it would have, would have done well, right? And that was their theory. And it was like, well, if I can prove this to my partners, then the sale will happen. And we did prove it out. The sale wound up not happening by no fault of ours. Their business had, like I said, had been going through some changes, and those changes sort of amplified beyond a point where anyone had predicted. But what he said was, I want to do this, and here's the deal. If the deal goes through, then obviously it doesn't matter because we're going to do this anyway. We're just, kind of delaying when the papers are signed,
Yeah.
But if the deal doesn't go through, if it's our fault, if it's his fault, if it's the buyer's fault, all of that growth is free for you. You don't ever pay on that. And it's like, okay, well, that's huge, right? Because, we do a lot of user acquisition that we're paying for. And it was like, this is amazing. Now we don't, like our return on ad spend is, it doesn't matter because the ad spend is zero. It effectively became organic growth, but it was, it was not. If you, and he was nice about it. He was like, but if you decide to kill the deal, if we decided to kill the deal, then we wouldn't have to pay for 100% of it. In fact, he said, look at what the value of it was to you, and you tell us what you want to pay for that. And there was, we put an agreement together that made it so that everyone was incentivized to be reasonable with one another in a scenario like that. But this concept of a cancellation clause, and that where there's, because you're going to head down a path. When you start selling a business, you are going to be in a scenario where your job is to sell the business. And it is all a sales process, but a lot of it's just pulling together paperwork and like all of this stuff that's going to distract you from your day-to-day. Even if you know that, even if the sale doesn't go through, we're going to keep running the business and all those things. This is going to be a job for you now. And you got to get paid for that job. And so putting something in there that says, hey, we're committed to this. We're at this point. We've already gone through enough of this to know that we're going to do this deal. Now that we're going to do that, okay, now we're moving down a path where like reversing course out of this is going to cost us something. So now everybody needs to be on the hook for that. And you see this on big corporate deals. They say, well, yeah,
$2 billion.
$1 billion.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
Yep.
Don't think that that's limited to just those corporate deals, folks. You can do it on much smaller deals too.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. And it also, I think, goes to incentivize to like keep the deal moving forward, right? To where, and in the beginning, I think it also can give you a indicator whether the company that wants to acquire you is really serious or not.
Yes.